Welcome everybody. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina mursaleen. We, as a Muslim Islamic religion, we start everything with praising the name of Allah, our God. I want to thank everybody for coming out. We appreciate it and appreciate your support. I just want to go over the agenda kind of briefly. Again, my name is Sam Marshall. I'm the president of the Islamic Center Board of Trustees. Everybody should have had an agenda. If you have not gotten one, there are some other ones floating around. I'm going to kind of go over the agenda. What we're going to do, they're going to have a couple of discussions or introduction. We have two MCs, which is Sister Munira, a lot of you might know, and Sister Siham. So they'll kind of handle some of the coordination. We're going to start, after the introduction, start with the Quran. We have an opening of our holy book, the Quran. We basically have a chapter, which is the Fatiha. So the Imam is going to start the recitation in Arabic, and we'll have someone that's going to translate in English. On the back of your agenda, the top part which says Al-Fatiha, the opening of the book, that is the prayer that we're going to be reciting. Again, it'll be in Arabic, and then the translation, which is written in English, so you can follow that. And then after that, we're going to have, basically, there's some speakers that will come from the Interfaith community that will say a few words, and we'll introduce them as they come up, and then we'll have some closing remarks, and then also we will end with a prayer, which is basically we call prayer of absence. Basically, when people pass away and they're not here in our presence, there's a prayer that we do that. Imam is going to perform that prayer. So that's kind of the general agenda we're going to try to follow. So hopefully we can get everybody out in a reasonable time. We do have some water and some snacks back there if anybody feels, help yourself to that. Again, my name is Sam Marshall, and this is not one of those events that we like to attend, we like to be together with. We much prefer to be together in the happy events. We've done a lot of interfaith activities, and it's nice to be able to join all the different faiths and happy occasions. It's very unfortunate what happened in New Zealand. But unfortunately, it does show what's happening in the world, and it reflects a lot of the hatred and bigotry that's happening. And you would think that one of the easiest things or simplest things that people go to a place of worship, when they leave their house in the morning, they expect that they would be in the presence of God, worship, and be able to go home without any issues. However, unfortunately, we've seen it more often, lately, that that's not the case. So anyway, I do appreciate everybody coming, and hopefully we'll go through our program, and we appreciate the support. As I mentioned, our MCs is Sister Munira and Sister Siham, so I'll kind of let them take over at this part, and then we'll kind of go from there. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Peace. Shalom. I don't know whether there are any words to really describe
Use the mic.
this.
Use the mic.
I thought I was loud. Okay. Okay. This is definitely an amazing, godly day. There's no happenstance, is there? Thank you so much for coming. There's a lot that is happening in our community, and it is our community, not his community. And we need to take charge of our community together. We have, just look around and look beside you, and you see the beauty that God has created that none of us could. Let's hold on to that. We want to go ahead and introduce Imam now? Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, peace, shalom. I cannot express my happiness and my sadness. My heart is torn at this moment. Sad for what happened. Sad that people cannot freely practice what they want. And very happy to see a wave of children of Adam. All of you, all of us are members of the same human family. When I look around, I see my brother. When I look around, I see my sister. Regardless of what walk of life you are coming from, no one can take that connection from us. We are members of the same human family. Let's hold on to that and let's build on this. I can't thank you enough, but we're going to start the program, and we're going to start it with some verses from the Quran. Imam Ibrahim will come and bless us with that.
And as he is reciting in Arabic, who's going to recite in fantastic. Awesome.
He will do it in English.
Awesome. And I want you, as he's doing it, think of the Lord's Prayer at the same time.
It's in the back of the program if you want to follow.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين.
In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. All the praises and thanks be to Allah, the Lord of the Alameen, mankind, jinns, and all that exists. The most beneficent, the most merciful. The only owner of the day of recompense. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Guide us to the straight way, the way of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, not of those who earned your anger, nor of those who went astray.
In the most famous words of German anti-Nazi Lutheran pastor Martin Niemöller, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I wasn't a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out either because I wasn't that. Then they came for the Jews, and I still did not speak out because I'm not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Not in our state. Not in our state. Not in our state. We can't not do anything. An initiative against racism, ethnic bigotry, and religious hatred. Community leaders and members, we are asking you to please sign and join us in building a harmonious community. We live in a time in history where our America has undergone a succession of divisions, racial discrimination, ethnic bigotry, deep tensions, and religious hatred. hate groups, and hate speeches are tearing the fabric of our country and destroying the peace and tolerance of our community. Behaviors such as inciting racial hostility, committing mass acts of violence, sparking fear and divisiveness, and igniting religious hatred have become our new norm. Not in our state, guys. Not in our state. Take charge. Racism and religious hatred are ongoing problems in the United States. Minority populations experience various types and degrees of discrimination every single day.
Not in our state. Not in our state. Not in our state. We cannot take a back seat when it comes to issues of equity and social justice. We, the people of moral conscience, must speak up against those growing social ills. We vow to spearhead every effort to live by our Constitution, which protects the religious rights and liberty and justice for all. Justice for all. Justice for all, not in our state. We must demonstrate institutional responsibility to build a hate-free and a moral community where children in schools are not bullied, humans are not trafficked, and minority groups don't live in constant fear of discrimination, not in our state. We must spread multicultural and diversity awareness across the various platforms, in our homes, place of worship, law enforcement agencies, schools, universities, workplaces, government agencies, hospitals, public offices, and community organizations. Not in our state. We have a big job to do, guys. We cannot allow these incidents to happen. This time is a Muslim masjid, Muslim mosque. Before that was the synagogue. Before that was the church of peaceful people reading the Bible. And some knucklehead, senseless person just decided to take their lives. They deserve to live. We all humans. We all members of the same human family. There is no superiority for any one of us. Not superiority of color, not superiority of career, of whatever that you hold on to. We're all equal in God's eyes, and we have to always remember that. So our big job is to spread awareness. Through education and awareness, or policy reform, together we can defeat the waves of hatred, discrimination, and division.
Quran chapter 3, verse 104 reads, "That there be a community among you who will invite people to do good, command what is proper, and forbid what is improper. Those will be prosperous." Do not let your hatred of people incite you to aggression. And do not let ill will towards any folk incite you so that you swerve from dealing justly. Be just. That is nearest to hatefulness. That is the chapter 5 in the Quran. Again, it is not happenstance. I hope the next time we call on everybody again is not because somebody died, but because we want and we love each other and we want to be together. Let's not wait for something evil like this for us to be together. But all human beings are knucklehead, and God knows He created us that way. And so He has to smack us sometimes to wake up. The people who died, let me just add something. During this last 3.5 weeks, personally, I lost an aunt, 2 nephews, a niece, and a good friend in 3 weeks before this happened. Wake up call big time. Are we ready for accountability? Are we ready to meet our Creator and say, I did my best? Are we ready for that? The young man who died in the Ethiopian Airlines is my nephew. Yup. He called his mom 15 minutes before he went to the plane to fly it and said, Mom, I'll see you soon. I'm about to go in. 6 minutes later, he was gone. That's a wake-up call not for him. He's not here. It's a wake-up call for each and every one of us here. Are you ready to meet your Creator? So now we're going to go ahead.
Let me remind all of us here, since we are on this topic, those evil people that they committed all kind of mass murders, those people are few. There are small percentage of the world population. So, the voice of evil is low. What makes it powerful and strong? That the masses are voiceless.
There we go.
And we shall not be silent anymore. It could have been your son, your daughter, your mom. Could have been a relative, somebody who's close to you. Not because people we don't know, that means it's like we are safe. No, we are not. We are not, as long as we allow those people to operate the way they operate. Let's take charge. Like Sister Munira said, next time, I don't want to stand in front of you and say thank you for coming because of what happened. Invite me to a wedding. I would love that.
Or to break bread.
Exactly.
Just because we are neighbors. Because we are one family. One big family. Unless one of you guys here can come up and say, you are not from Adam. Is there any?
Do we have aliens here? Do we? Or we all belong to planet Earth? Then we have a job, guys. You can't allow this to happen.
So again, not in our state. And we are requesting everybody here, before you leave, to sign that. And we will start having meetings, not because something bad happened, because we just want to be together.
Meet the rest of your human family, basically.
There are so many blessed people here, our leaders here, that have decided to be here with us because they believe in the oneness of all of us. They are our supporters. I kept on getting calls saying, oh, our pastor said this. Oh, our rabbi said this happening. Oh, I'm walking and people are like, oh, I heard about it. That's beautiful because we are one family and we need to keep it. Please, guys, don't let this be it. We're going to try to figure out how we can do, whether even if it's a quarterly thing, so we can just get together for the sake of just getting together.
Yes.
Let's not wait for Satan to do his craziness, because we're all children. Even the people who did that, we gotta pray for them. As long as they're alive, they've got a chance to be right. So let's not throw them under the bus and say, okay, you killed 50 and whatever, so guess what? Forget about you. Because there is a story, maybe our Imam can clarify, about somebody in Islam we are taught that killed a lot of people and then still was able to be pardoned. So what I'm saying is, we are not God. How about that? You know, it's easy for us to say, you did it, forget it. I don't want to see you again.
And there is always a way to come back to goodness and come back to your Lord.
Forgiveness. Forgiveness is the key, and it's very hard. Now we'll go ahead and go to where we say, let's speak up. And we want to invite different people to speak up. At the same time, I am challenging you, all of you, to raise your hand and say, I want to say something. Because this is not, it's our community. It's not his or her community. It's our community.
It could be as simple as saying, I love you, my brother.
Exactly.
I love you, my sister.
Exactly.
Let's turn this tragedy to something positive.
Yes, yes. So we're going to go ahead and start with one of our mayors.
Oh, yes.
Dr. Bly?
Yes.
Can you say something first? Then we'll go to somebody else.
I think you're thinking of Dr. Tomzak.
Tom Zach. I was thinking of Tom Zach, but now I'm looking at Bly.
And I suspect I speak for many here
That's right.
when I say that I felt that God said to me, go and hug your brothers and sisters who are in pain.
Thank you. Thank you. Father Joe, I'm just going to throw names all over the place here, and then I want others to say, I want to say something.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming out on this beautiful day to come and be inside, so close to each other. This is becoming a liturgy, something we do unfortunately on a regular basis. We are here again and saying many of the same things we've said before, but those of us in worshiping communities, that's what we do, right? We get together on a weekly, sometimes daily basis, and we say the same things over and over again because we need to hear them over and over again. My name is Joe Hensley. I'm the rector of St. George's Episcopal Church, downtown Fredericksburg. I am blessed to meet monthly with a group of interfaith leaders. We gather together for fellowship and support and just sharing news of the community and sometimes cooperating on some things to help out to become better neighbors in our community. And just by the way, we are going to be hosting an interfaith potluck, a chance to break bread together on April the 28th, Sunday, April 28th at 1 o'clock. So we'll be getting word out about that. But here we are again. We are gathered as an interfaith community as we were at Beth Shalom Synagogue last fall after the Tree of Life Synagogue massacre in Pittsburgh. We gathered together then as neighbors and friends, knowing that we are vulnerable, that we will meet our Maker, trusting, though, in the power of love and community. We gathered to lament. We gathered to express our anger and frustration. We gathered to hope, lamenting the loss, frustration at the persistence of evil, hope for a time when such gatherings would not be necessary. Today again we gather to lament and be frustrated and angry, and to hope, and to recommit ourselves to that work that we have to do. The massacre in Christchurch happened way on the other side of the world, so why are we gathered here today? But we know that it has happened here. And unfortunately, it may happen again. We know that the hatred which the killer espouses and which he sought to broadcast all over the globe is not unique to him. And we see that this is continuing to happen. So we gather here today because we know that it is the light that we have to shine together in the darkness. To gather in strength as a community, because God is calling us together to be bearers of the light together. I find it really bizarre and strange that the same technology which can connect us to each other, that brought us together today so quickly, can connect us to brothers and sisters in New Zealand and so many places. That's the same technology that the killer sought to use to broadcast his horror all over the world. In some ways, the technology has made it easier to be together and more difficult to be together. So I think it's so important today that we gather in this place to see one another, to listen with our own ears, to strengthen the bonds between us. Look around at each other for a moment. Take a look back in the back, those of you in the front. We are breathing the same air, people. We are gathered in this physical space together so that when we get an email or we see a post on social media, we know that we've seen and we've heard and we've touched each other. We've stood on the same ground. That's connection that we need to sustain us in our work. So I encourage us to greater connection, so that no matter what happens, we always know we've got each other's back. No matter what happens, we know we can get together. Greater connection, which may then, by God's grace, lead us to connect with those who aren't so sure about all this togetherness. Greater connection that by standing together, the love that flows between us will overwhelm the hate that seeks to divide us. Greater connection through listening deeply and sharing honestly, holding tenderly, and supporting strongly. Through our connection to each other across the lines of faith and culture, we may know the connection with God, who is always bringing heaven and earth together. Salam alaikum, wholeness, shalom, peace be with you all.
Thank Yes, it would be best. Where are you?
Rob Jobrak, the president of Congregation Beth Shalom.
Oh, okay.
be offering some words from our community, and then I'll be concluding with the prayerful part.
Thank you all for coming today. As Rabbi said, I'm Rob Jobrack. I'm the president of Beth Shalom Temple, our Jewish congregation here in Fredericksburg. A few months ago, back in November, there was another vigil in Fredericksburg for victims who were murdered while they were praying in accordance with their faith. They were practicing a faith that began with Abraham. They were murdered in their house of worship. Back then, we held a vigil for Jews in a different state. Today, we hold a vigil for Muslims in a different country. They too were murdered while they prayed in accordance with their faith, a faith that began with Abraham. They too were murdered in their house of worship. When Jews were murdered, it was heartening for the Jews of Fredericksburg to look around and see the enormous amount of support offered by people of other faiths, including Muslims and Christians and decent people who just didn't practice any particular religion. So I hope today, after the murder of Muslims, that the Muslims of Fredericksburg please look around, take some comfort in knowing that people of other faiths, including Jews, Christians, and decent people who maybe don't practice any particular religion, are here today to say what happened to Muslims in Christchurch is wrong, and we are here to show that we care and we offer our support to you. I'm proud to be the spokesperson for our local Jewish synagogue and congregation, proud that my fellow members of Beth Shalom Temple are here today to offer solidarity with our neighbors and our friends. And let me reiterate something that I said in November. If we really think that our world can be different, then we have to do something. To those of us here have already done one thing just by showing up. Our presence here makes a statement, and it's a good one, but it's not enough. And we need to do more. No one here seriously thinks that our vigil today will really change the mind or open the heart of any neo-Nazi racist or supremacist. But if each of us here today can do one more thing to diffuse this hate, then maybe, possibly, we can see a difference. How do we do that? We do it, as Father Joe said, through love, through education, through outreach, through breaking bread together, through political action, through acts of justice, kindness, and mercy like we are taught, by using our voices and using them wisely because words matter. But each of us must find a way to do something so we don't have to keep meeting like this. The enormity of this challenge can seem overwhelming, but none of us has to do it alone. But all of us are obligated, as the sisters told us, we are obligated to do something. On behalf of Beth Shalom Temple, I thank the members of the Islamic Center of Fredericksburg for giving us the opportunity to show our support and to have a voice. Shalom and salam.
A couple of Sundays ago, many of us gathered as neighbors to learn about each other's spring culture and rituals. And just a couple of weeks later, we are here. We had hoped not to have to gather for another vigil like this. This past Shabbat, this past Sabbath, in congregations throughout the United States, prayers were offered on behalf of those who had died and those who were injured. We said, Yid Kadal v'Yid Kadash. Thank you, God. We praise you for the life that we were allowed to experience of those who died, for the holiness of their lives. And we said, Mishaberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Ve'imotenu, Sarivka, Rachel, Leah. Please, God, heal those who are still in need of healing. And we say that prayer for our entire world, because without that prayer of healing, we could very well be at another vigil very soon. There are no small acts of genuine sympathy on behalf of the Jewish people. We reach out to you, to all of our brothers and sisters, regardless of religion, regardless of your faith regardless of your practice. And we say that we are here to support you and that we are here in your times of sorrow and your times of joy. We hope to be celebrating more with you in the days and the months and the years to come. And so, whether we call out to eternal as Adonai, as Allah, or as Lord, we are all children of one God. God calls upon us in moments of fear to find courage, in times of darkness to be a light, and b'makom she'ein anashim hishtadel lehiyot ish, in a place where there is no one behaving like a human being, to be that human being. May we all go forth in strength, and may this be one of the last vigils that we ever have to be at for something like this.
And now we'd like to hear from my other brother, Pastor, please.
To my sisters and all that are gathered, my sister from another mother, we're happy to be here this afternoon. It is an expression of love, the entire community coming together to show love at a time as such as this. We all believe that there is one God, the God of all creation, and we are brothers and sisters together in this. So when my brothers and my sisters feel pain, I too feel the pain. This is a time of prayer. We have to be very in tune to the fact that it is praying time, because we're living in a world of so much destruction, so much violence. These are terrible times that we're living in, and we are all in this together. That's the key of it all. We are all here together, and we need to walk together as brothers and sisters. So I'm here to give that support, and we are happy to see so many out of the faith community this year, because we look to leave here and go to a better place. I say heaven, and we believe that there's not going to be any separation there, but we are all going to be before the one God. And we honor him here today, as I thank you for the opportunity to speak. And you said, Brother Hashmo, yes, that's me. And a lot of folks cannot accept the fact that I'm a Muslim Christian. And I don't run across too many of them around here. But there are millions of us around the world that are Muslim Christian. God bless.
Okay. And now if we could ask Greg to come up, we've got Josh, got a whole lot of pastors here, and we do want to recognize, is this one?
Love and mercy to you, my neighbors from Common Ground, church representing a larger evangelical community who sadly does not always see you as we should. Know that many of us still follow Christ and not a political idea. That is why we stand with you. Otherwise, on a feast of St. Patrick, to be right here is where we need to be as a community. On Friday morning, as I woke up to hear and see the news, it was the first time of reading about the horrific tragedy. I knew my neighbor, a Muslim and friend, would be scared. I knew this would shake his family, as the hate of terrorism has a nasty sting, and I knew this act of terror would have its moment, but only its moment, because we march on in love. And my words to him were, hello, brother, Pastor Greg here, letting you know that we love you and your family, and I'm praying for you in the Muslim community today. We are heartbroken and disgusted by this violence, and want you to know that you are not alone in our city or in your grief. Our Christ would have us weep with those who weep and mourn with those who mourn. And some in our culture would have us hate you. We do not follow our culture, but our Christ. And I want you to know, if you need anything in the days ahead, you can call on me. God's peace to you today, and your family, and your worshiping community tonight. Moments later, that ding of the phone. Thanks for your support. Our thoughts and prayers are with the affected families. God bless you and all who do good for people and serve them. Thanks again. To be in proximity to God is to be invited into his hospitality. And that is poured out on all of his children. And to belong and to love God is to love all of his children. And to live and to show the same hospitality that he has given to us. You are loved. You are not alone. As the psalmist would say, from the Latin de profundis, from out of the depths, I cry to you, O Lord. How long until these tears are gone? How long until we use our hands for love and not violence? How long until we see the face of God in every stranger we meet? How long, O Lord, will you allow this violence to continue? Nevertheless, you will find us faithful. Nevertheless, you will find us in love with one another, and as Sister Manira said, in love with this community. Nevertheless, we will do whatever it takes to be peacemakers of nonviolent love, expressing itself through broken hearts, tears of grief, and hugs of solidarity and hope. May it be a better world for our children. Amen. Thank you.
Brother Josh.
Peace be with you. Shalom to you. Assalamu alaikum. We greet you in the peace of our God. We come here today, and in this time of peril, in the time of stress, as so many of our friends have said today, we extend our hands, we extend our shoulders, we extend our embrace to you to let you know that you have a friend in us, you have a neighbor in us, and you have love in us. I was listening to a Christian pastor out of Redding, California, give a sermon a couple of months ago, and he said, my love for God is measurable by my love for people. And we cannot claim that we love God while hurting our neighbors. We cannot claim that we love God while ignoring the sufferings of our neighbors. We cannot claim that we love God while walking over certain people or hating certain people. And so keep that in mind, that our love for God is measurable by how we love people. Our Christian Bible tells us in Proverbs that the name of the Lord is a strong tower, and the righteous run in and they are saved. And as we gather here today, for those of us who are children of Abraham, we are children of Abraham, that we believe the name of our Lord is a strong tower. And so while we're weeping and while we're crying, we can trust that our God has a strong name and that we find peace and solace. There's another Christian scripture that says, "For we do not mourn as though them who have no hope, because we have hope." I want you to understand that those who were massacred on Friday did not die in vain. They were not taken down in vain. They became the seed in the ground for us to encourage one another to keep fighting the good fight, to keep pushing for the good things. It became the seed in the ground to encourage every faith leader, despite your background, to stand up and cry loud and speak out against every injustice that faces not just the Commonwealth of Virginia, but against our nation and against everyone in the world. We must stand together and we must speak out. There's a scripture that I want to leave with you. The book of Revelation in 21 says, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. The old heaven and the old earth had passed away, and he shall wipe away every tear from their eyes." There will be no more suffering. There will be no more sickness. There will be no more crying, because we will be anew, and we will celebrate together as one. And as we push together today, I want to encourage you, my brothers, my sisters, despite your background, that while we are fighting, we're not fighting each other. That's right. We have a common enemy because we are a common people. And because we are a common people, that means we have to fight a common fight. And I want you to be encouraged. For those of you who are my Jewish brothers and sisters, as a Christian, I'm for you. For those of you who are my Muslim brothers and sisters, as a Christian, I am for you. And those of us who are Christians in other denominations, as your other Christian brother, I am for you. And we are not fighting each other, but we are fighting a common enemy. And I want to encourage you today that we love you. We are here for you. As Pastor Greg told his friend, call us, reach out to us, and I'll do one better. Don't just call me. Let me call you and check up on you when I haven't heard from you, because we're in this together. We give thanks and praise. We are praying for you. We are encouraging you, and the Lord be with you.
Thank you so much.
Peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum. It is good to be together with kindred. We are here because we were all attacked. Because we are all interconnected, interdependent in a web of life of which we are all together. And when something happens clear across the world, the farthest place that one can be from here, it is as if it happened right in our backyard, because it did. As we are all gathered here, our hearts are beating. Our hearts are beating together. And sadly, there are 50 hearts that have been stopped clear across the world. But they were connected at the soul level with us. And we are interdependent always. So we are gathered here because we were attacked. And when you are attacked, you connect even closer, even tighter with those who you love. And so we know that hate can spread across the world, but we know even more that love can spread across the world. It is spreading right here, and it is love that will have the final word. But it is us who will be the ones to make it so. May it be so.
Brother Bell.
We're grateful for your presence, and I am so grateful to be in your midst. I'm Raymond Bell, Senior Pastor of Mount Hope Baptist Church, right on Harrison and Gordon Road, and we're neighbors. Sitting there, I felt an aroma of love in the atmosphere. More importantly, I realized that one of the greatest sins is not having balance in your life. That sometimes all of us, including myself, can be so caught up in our own agenda, our own purpose, our own church style, that we don't take time for collaborations and openness. I apologize. But oftentimes, in my own willingness to serve, I sometimes forget about my other brothers and sisters. But it stops today. And I challenge you to have balance in your life, not just for your families and on your job. Fellow brothers and sisters of the faith who might be different in your faith, but we're still God's people on one accord. The writer said, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Let's work hard that all of us can work together, that joy will come in the morning. Let us work together that in the midst of all the struggle and doubt, there'll be one common bond, that God's people will work together, strive together, and even die together. May God bless you. May heaven smile upon you. And as of today, we'll be working closer together.
I would like to request all the pastors, the interfaith leaders to please stand up. I don't want to miss to recognize Please, can you all please stand up?
They can stand
Huh?
up. Show hand.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, see, there's somebody kind of not in my vision here, and I think he knows who it is right now because I'm going to him right now.
Thank you, my sister. We are here because a tragedy took place in another part of the world. But it affected all of us, not only in New Zealand, but here in Fredericksburg, here in America. And we come to say to our friends and our brothers and sisters of the Muslim faith that you're not alone, that we've come to let you know that we stand with you. Very often, deeds that are done that are destructive and harmful have an opposite effect of that which the perpetrators, those perpetrators affected and had meant to have happen. The tragedy that took place in New Zealand and in other parts of the world is not driving people of faith and goodwill apart. It is not strengthening the inclination toward separation and aggravation of humanity, but will drive men and women of good faith and godly orientation closer together. And it will drive us in some cases so close that we become an impenetrable force against foes such as these. And this will not be a single incident. This will not be a single association of one another. It will continue, but we are determined that we shall overcome and we shall prevail. We thank you for your prevail. We thank you for your patience, because men and women of goodwill and strong faith will continue to stand by you and let you know that you're not alone in this effort. God bless you.
Thank you. Another pastor around here. You say something, come on. Who else are we missing? Huh? Yes.
My name is Pastor Carlos Gonzalez, and I am the pastor at the Ministerio de Restauración Torre Fuerte in Fredericksburg. And I am here because I believe in Mark Bible teaches us that we are to love God above all things and our neighbors ourselves. And the scripture also tells us that we are made in His image and in His likeness. We may be of different colors, different religions, but we are made in His image. And I am here because we are not going to let it happen here in Fredericksburg. You talked about the state, but I believe that not in our city, not in our neighborhoods. If you see me, say hello to me. I love everybody of all creeds, of all nations, of all colors. I am a Hispanic American. I came here when I was 9 years old. But I consider myself as American as apple pie. And we will fight for our neighbors and of all races and creeds. And I give my condolences to the Muslim community. I want to tell you that we love you and we are praying for you. And I plan and I hope that I get to connect with each other. And I thank you for the time that you let us speak.
Greetings. Whether we are Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, or Buddhist, in the midst of our different ecclesiastical and liturgical oracles of faith expression, the one thing we all have in common is the presence of evil. Evil has entered into every facet of our religious practices. The hand of evil has shown itself not to be prejudiced, not to be racist, nor sexist, just evil, violent and vicious, dark and dangerous, cold and calculated, cutting across all racial, ethnic, cultural, social, and political boundaries. One writer says, the kingdom of God suffered violence, and the violence has taken by force. From one synagogue to one temple to one synagogue to one place. In Pittsburgh, 11 lives taken. First Baptist, Sutherland, Spring, Texas, 26 lives taken. Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, 9 lives taken. And even over this past week in New Zealand, 50 lives are taken. Statistics are alarming. Since 1999, 617 people of faith have lost their lives at the hand of evil in our worship places. Evil minds with assault weapons. What are we to do? What are our response? What's our responsibility as collective children of God? Is to unite and conquer and fight and defend against the forces of evil. But our weapons are not carnal, but spiritual, for the pulling down of strongholds. There's a popular hashtag movement that's alive. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Hashtag All Lives Matter. Well, let us start today and start a new hashtag. Hashtag All Faiths Matter. Catholic, Protestant, Muslim, Hindu, Christian, Jewish. We can't rest until our Muslim brothers and sisters are safe. A threat to our Jewish community is a threat to our Christian community. All faith matters. Your faith, my faith, and faith across every aspect of this society. We're all God's children. And this prophet said of old, if my people that are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, turn from wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin, and I'll heal their land. So that you and I, who are in this county, Spotsylvania or Fredericksburg, or Stafford or King George, or whatever surrounding counties, will be able to stand up and be about unity. Because Abraham had many sons, and many sons did Abraham have. I am one of them, and you are one of them. So let's just unite and stand against the forces of evil with what God has given us, so that this area will speak to our country, and our country will speak to the world, that we're truly one nation under God, liberty and justice for all. Love to you all in this fight.
All right, who am I missing here? I know.
Good afternoon. I am actually no longer a religious leader in this community. I'm I'm in seminary. I'm off at school. This beautiful woman has blessed my journey the entire way. And as I stand here, I am so deeply moved by the words being shared from our scriptures. Those have touched so many hearts over so many generations. They have been kept safe for us, handed to us from our great-grandparents and our grandparents and our parents. And now we hand them on to the next generation. Let them speak here. Let them ring forth from here. Let them move us to know that we worship one God. And God is here with us in this place.
Thank you. Two formers, former clergy member and former leader in Spotsylvania County. I've heard that I've been told not to speak before lunch, speak after preaching. I'm doing that now. I've been asked to speak about our community. And I had the pleasure of serving Spotsylvania County for 9 years. And I got to know the district, the county, I know the region, I know the state. I know that there are good people here. It's a good community. It's a good turnout today. This is who we are. I want to recognize also Paul Trainer, Board of Supervisors, in Spotsylvania County. Thank you for coming. Any other political leaders here? No blame. Let's go for it. New officers here. We also have representatives from the Sheriff's Department. Thank you all for being here. This is a good community. This is a good turnout. And thanks you all for being here. And you also know, I saw, there's an undercurrent of fear and hate and bigotry. And we saw it culminated at your public hearing 2 or 3 years ago. And that was tempting. Things have gotten better. But it's never going to get better unless we act. And we're here today to pray. Now let us pray. And let us love each other. Let us hug each other. Let us mourn the loss of the victims all over the world. Let's turn those prayers into actions. Let's stand up against hate and bigotry and fear. Let's stop endorsing people and things that speak to hate and bigotry and fear. Because we are better than that. We are a community. We are all connected. And we are a community. And we can't give up. We can't give up. We've got to be vigilant. And we've got to hold people accountable each and every day. To say pray without ceasing, act without ceasing. Because this is a fight for our values. It's a political fight. That's not bad. We have these conversations in our public square, in our political arena. That's okay. It's not a partisan. It's a debate about values. What kind of values do we want to show our community, our world, our state? What kind of values do we stand for? If we protect those values, if we value those values, and stop buying things or endorsing people that are totally opposed to it. We've got to do this every day. Thank you for turning out. Thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Like so many of the speakers here today, have mixed emotions, a heavy heart for events in New Zealand, combined with great pride in this community. As the good father said, for something that was put together in 24 hours, this is really amazing. In my personal experience, my personal life, I've never experienced anything like the carnage that just happened in New Zealand. But I have seen bigotry aimed at Muslims and Jews, and Catholics and Protestants, and more aimed at the entire faith community as one. The people with hate in their hearts, they hate all of us. So if they can see us as one community to be hated, we can see ourselves as one community to spread love.
At about 4 a.m. on that Friday, my sister woke me up and said, Manira, we just got an email from London, from our family, about this incident. The first person I called was Rick.
Hello, everyone.
Greetings.
She's being brutally honest about that.
No matter what time.
Fortunately, I was awake because I was watching it as it was being announced. It's unfortunate. It really is. By way of introduction, I'm Deputy Rich Vasquez. I work for the Spotsylvania Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Harris sends his regards. He is literally out of state at this time. But he sends his regards. One of the key things you need to understand on where he stands and where myself and First Sergeant Jones come in as the rest of our department is that we are missioned to ensure that everyone in our county enjoys the same quality of life without having that fear that they're going to be discriminated on, they're going to be marginalized. We take that very seriously. And the fact that it happened in New Zealand or up north in Pittsburgh or down in South Carolina, Texas, there's too many to list. Doesn't mean that we're not tracking. We take it very seriously because they're all connected. Okay? They're all connected. We have a lot of initiatives that we utilize to inform and provide awareness that are available they're at your disposal. Manira knows, and I learned here really within the last 2 weeks, that it's an open door policy. She has my personal number. So it's all good though. The same thing with Imam. He has it. We take it very seriously, but when people conduct these acts of violence, display this evil, this is not the outcome that they want. Okay? That's the reality of it. That's a small percentage that gets a lot of attention because it's violent. All right? It's violent. I don't know how many of you watched the video. I stopped at the trunk opening. I've seen violence already in my lifetime, more than I care to say. I didn't need to see anything else. All right? So know that this beautiful sea of people, children of Abraham, coming together, keeping this going, this approach can apply to a lot of the issues in our community. Us being able to call our neighbor and check in on them. You having the trust and confidence and comfort level to be able to pick up the phone and call myself, call the sheriff, and say, I have a concern. Do you have time to listen? And we will. And we will. We have a Citizens Advisory Committee. There's members and 2 new members, and there's some in the back as well. We take it easily. I mean, we have a wonderful agency. I'm being honest with you. If people know my background, I don't have to be here. And when I mean here, I'm not talking about this location, with this agency. I love the community, and I love what we do. Right? And you need to understand that, and when I say that, I offer my hand out to you, that if you have problems, you feel comfortable to come to us and report it. Because it does start at the local level. we can provide information, awareness, and stuff and best practices that are being practiced across the country and around the world. Okay? But by the time we get involved, it's at the interdiction phase. Where we want to get involved is at the prevention and intervention. When you see a young man or a young lady going astray, thinking differently, posting things on Facebook, we hope that people, young people especially, have the moral courage to come forward and do the unpopular thing, which is say, hey, something's not going on. Something's not right with this person. They posted that. We've had incidents in the county where young, brave people came forward and stopped a really possibly bad act of happening in one of our local high schools. Those individuals are in jail. Okay? That's what we need is communication, partnership. Invite us to your events. I'd love to come. And just know that you have a brother and sisters that care. We all heard the same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
Do you remember me? Oh, beautiful.
Yes,
Come on.
please.
And like, there are other young ones who had told me they do want to.
You are not powerless, we are not hopeless. Vote out those who do not stand by your values. Knock doors for those who do. Have the difficult conversations with your family, friends, neighbors, where they tell you it's all or nothing, because it is not. And then lastly, find me and join us, because we have community events, we table, we canvas, we do all kinds of things to try to fix this problem.